You probably see them hundreds of times a day. I'm talking about chat bubbles. They're the humble, simple building blocks of pretty much all of our digital conversations. But they look so simple, right? Well, it turns out that under the hood, there's a surprisingly complex and, honestly, a really elegant system at work. So today, we're going to peel back the layers and see what really makes a chat bubble tick.
Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the basic anatomy of a single message bubble. Then, we're going to dive into how that iconic shape with the little tail is actually drawn with code. After that, we'll explore the built-in theming engine that gives it all that color and personality. And finally, we'll see how these bubbles come alive on our screens with real-time dynamic updates. It's going to be fun.
All right, let's start at square one. If you were going to build a chat bubble from the ground up, what pieces would you actually need? Because it turns out it's a lot more than just a simple box with some text inside.
So, have you ever really stopped to think about it? What is a chat bubble made of? It seems like such a basic question, but the answer, well, it reveals this incredibly clever modular design. See, a chat bubble isn't one single thing. It's actually a collection of different parts all working together in harmony.
Think of it like a set of building blocks. The bubble is really made of 4 main controllable parts. You've got the avatar, which you can show or hide with a property like avatar visible. Then there's the header, which gives us context, who sent it and when, using header text. The body, of course, is the heart of the message, holding the message text. And finally, the footer, which uses properties like status mode to show us things like read receipts. Each one is a totally distinct piece of the puzzle.
Let's just zoom in on that header for a second. Its job sounds simple, but it is absolutely crucial. It tells you who sent this and when they sent it. And the code gives developers really precise control over this with 2 key properties: header text for the name and header time text for that all-important timestamp.
Okay, so we know the components inside the bubble. But what about the bubble itself? How does it get that iconic shape? That little tail that points to the person speaking? Well, get this. It's not an image file. It's actually drawn from scratch on the fly using vector graphics.
And it happens in this really logical 4-step sequence. First, the code just draws a basic rounded rectangle. Simple enough. Then it flattens one of the bottom corners, basically making a landing pad for the tail. After that, it calculates the exact coordinates for the tail's anchor points. And finally, it just draws a simple triangular path to connect those points. It's such a great example of how you can build a seemingly complex shape from just a few simple commands.
And this right here, this line of code is the magic moment. p.line2 is basically the command that says, hey, draw a straight line from where you are now to this new coordinate. This single instruction draws that angled edge of the tail, and just like that, it transforms a plain old rectangle into a speech bubble. It's a perfect example of code acting as a blueprint.
But wait, how does it know which side to put the tail on? How does it know if it's your message or their message? The solution is so clever because it's so simple. For an incoming message on the start side, the drawing path starts at coordinate 0. But for an outgoing message on the end side, the path starts at W, which is the full width of the bubble. By changing literally just one value, the code completely flips the orientation. That's how it distinguishes your messages from theirs.
So we have the components and we've got the shape, but let's be real. A chat bubble has to have style, right? Things like light mode, dark mode, all that stuff, that's all handled by a super dynamic theming engine.
And that brings up a great question. How can one little component pull off so many different looks? Well, the secret is a cool concept called abstraction. Instead of telling each bubble, you need to be this specific shade of blue, the system just tells it, hey, you're a primary message. And the definition of what primary actually looks like can be changed instantly for the entire app.
These are the built-in style names or variants that developers get to play with. And you'll notice they're semantic, which means you pick a purpose, not a specific color. So a message can be for success, or it can be an error message. And the theme automatically knows what colors to apply. It's really smart.
So here's what that looks like in practice. This table is basically the color recipe for a light theme. You can see how the primary variant is defined as this light blue background with dark blue text, and success is mapped to these green colors. This is the first piece of the puzzle. And now for the really cool part. Here is a totally different palette, this one for a dark mode. Now notice the variant names are exactly the same. Neutral, primary, info, but the actual colors are completely different. Our primary variant is now this awesome, vibrant purple. And this is what ties it all together. There's this one powerful function, setTheme. A developer can call this to switch from that light palette to the dark one, and every single bubble that's using the primary variant will instantly change from blue to purple. It's an incredibly powerful and efficient way to handle an app's appearance.
So far, we've kind of treated the chat bubble like it's a static picture. But we all know that's not how chat works, is it? Messages have a life of their own. They get sent, they get delivered, they get read. To handle this, the chat bubble needs a sort of nervous system to reflect these changes in real time.
Let's follow a message on its journey. It all starts here. You hit send, and the first thing that happens is the footer updates to show a single check mark. In the code, this just means the status mode has been set to sent.
A moment later, it reaches the other person's device. The status changes to delivered, and that single check mark instantly becomes a double. The bubble updates right there on your screen without having to be completely redrawn.
And finally, the last step we're all waiting for. Your friend reads the message and the status becomes red. Now, while it still shows 2 check marks, their color would usually change, often to that classic blue we all recognize, giving you that final confirmation. And this all happens to the bubble that's already on your screen. So how does this real-time magic actually work? It's all thanks to this one command, update message by ID. You can think of it like a surgical strike. You just give it the unique ID of the bubble you want to change, and only the specific fields you want to update, like changing that status mode from sent to delivered. This is what keeps the whole interface feeling so fast and responsive. So, when you put it all together, from its modular anatomy and its vector-drawn shape, all the way to its swappable color themes and its live status updates, this simple little chat bubble is actually a marvel of design. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple interfaces that we use every single day are hiding this much thoughtful engineering just beneath the surface? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.